I feel like I look like a librarian, but I'm rolling with it. Hey, we're matching. Are we wearing the same glasses? I got glasses. I'm not on their chat anymore because I jumped onto here. So I don't. Oh, people's got to see me up close about my glasses. Hello. Heavens to Betsy. Hello, good people. Can you hear me? Let me mute you real fast. Hmm. I'm hitting play right now to see what's up. This is gonna be strange, but hold on. Okay. Yeah, I could hear. What? Permanently.
Sounds like somebody who knows.
Yeah, you know why cocaine great? Because you can drink. That's why it was huge in the 80s.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a
That is weird.
It has to be working since that's when I'm. Are they still on over there, Candy? Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. No, that's okay. No, none of it's coming up.
Okay, so at the top, there is okay, where it says settings, hit that. Go to audio.
No, I don't see a settings yet. Okay, there's settings at the bottom.
Go to audio.
Okay, go to audio. Go ahead.
Under devices, it's like where it says microphone auxiliary audio. Click that. What would you have in the list?
I have speaker Real Tech, which is not in Yeti. So let me put in my Yeti.
Yeah. Which one are you? Whatever you're using for Zoom, you're talking to, that's what that should be.
Okay, and then I hit apply.
Yeah.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Hear me now? Hear me now? No, they can't hear me now. Oh, wait. Off Trail says loud and clear now. Candy talk. It's working now. Put mic away. Working. Okay, can you guys hear me? We can hear. Okay, people are starting to send me stuff that they're saying. Okay, that worked, Michael. You are wonderful. I'm using you and throwing you away. Sorry. Okay, they can hear me. Okay, love you. Bye. Okay, he's like, I don't even get a thank you. Thank you, honey. Okay, so we can hear you and get. Okay, so can everyone hear me? Hi, everybody. And then Candy, you talk now.
Hello.
Okay.
Can the lovely people of the chat hear the both of us?
They can hear Mike too, but that was because he was right next to my audio. And so I think we are all ready. I've sent Davio and Carter, the household husband, I've sent them the information or the invite as well. So come on when you can, guys. We wanted to go live we were just full screen in Zoom. I am full screen. This is an irritant of his, so I'm going to make sure. Enter full. There we go. Okay. My guy's not getting mad. Okay. So if you guys hopefully can hear us, we were going to go live a couple hours ago, and it was right when House Husband Diaries said they're going to come on in 30 minutes. So we delayed a little bit. And yeah, I'm trying, Violet. I'm not really good at that. I can go just by myself here, okay? I'm not really good at getting through OBS and a guest on and all that good stuff. So because you have to do OBS and Zoom and YouTube and make them all talk nicely to each other, which is difficult for me. So
I think I can operate it from here. It shows at the bottom you can invite people.
yeah, so if you go to invite, let's go to invite and let's do.
Oh, here, message me Davio and Carter's email via Facebook Messenger, and then I'll type it in from here.
Oh, I so can do that. Sorry, that's kind of funny.
'Cause-
Let's see if I go copy. Yeah. Let's see if I go. 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 Let's see if I go.
Beth Fenn's just laughing at us.
Hi, Forrest. Yes, we know Forrest is watching, and we love him. And he's, you know what? He knows me well enough. He's probably going, yeah, that's totally Christy. She's an idiot when it comes to technology. You know what? I think Forrest might be better than I am on technology. Okay, I don't want to put out any email too publicly. Okay, there's one. Oh, hold on.
What was that?
Hello, Michael.
Oh,
Hello? Yes? Yes? I don't care. That's fine. That's okay. No, I'm not dealing with that right now. Don't care. Okay, but I guess the words are backwards. I'm not worried about that. Okay, there's the emails. So we might have some guests on soon.
okay. Just sent one, and now he's Hotmail. So let me go.
Okay, hi friends. We're so excited that all of you are here. So we wanted to about to send you a necklace. Okay, yes. Holly, send me your email or send me the okay to send the email because there is some gorgeous necklace. This is my favorite necklace. And I do have to say, Tony, the other one that I had, I just gave to my daughter for her 13th birthday, and she is over the moon. So she is so excited. And I wanted to say
How
thank you.
cute.
Yeah, it's her first real piece of jewelry. She's really into jewelry, and this is her first real piece of jewelry. And she's been adoring the purple one for a while. So this is mine. And so anyway, okay, so we had some things. Yeah, I know. Michael or William. Michael is very like the words have to be right, and the this, and they have to be full screen. He's an expert. I just kind of wing it. I need a crutch. I can only do the crutch for so long. So, um, anyway, so Candy and I were talking about a couple different things, and we decided we wanted to go live. And then Carter and Crew was such a fun room, and they were awesome. And Candy's making that happen right now. And we decided we would go live, but we wanted to wait until after they were done. So they were waiting for the technical guru of the world to figure it out, and so it's been a little bit. So yeah, we're about 2 hours later than we thought we'd be, but yeah, this is a fun time. For those of you that don't know, I just got back from Vegas. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, can we hear him? That's gonna be the thing.
I don't think you can. Carter, speak.
No,
Hey,
he's
how's it going?
Oh,
totally
oh, he just blew up. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yes,
Where's
ma'am.
Davio?
Hey, can you hear me?
Davia, hopefully he'll be here. Yes, we can hear you. So the day before I left for going to Vegas, everybody wondered where I was going. I was going to Vegas. I hung out with some guy. He has this handle called the Household Husband Diaries. And what? I think we were gonna like, okay, can you guys hear Carter? Hopefully you can. Say yes if you can. And Carter and I were gonna like meet up for what? Like a half an hour to have a cup of coffee. I don't know how long you want to say we were hanging out. We hung out for a little bit longer.
It was professional, but we can't talk about that here.
No, we cannot talk about it here. But there might have been a little bit of discussion of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. And I think that was a few hours. And then we're like, no, we have some professional talk. There's some professional things. We are professionals.
100% professional. No, I would say this. When I first met Kpro at the Raleigh / area meetup back in October, I was like, "Hey, I feel like I know you," and she looked at me like, those are not the words to say to me when you first meet me, and I didn't know all of the background of like the terribleness that had happened with like the juvenile chase stuff. I was just like, I've seen your videos, and I don't really know. Like, I'm from an era where we didn't have like social media and stuff to meet people, and so I've totally botched that. But anyway,
well, but it was funny because once I explained it a little bit, I got about 3 minutes in. You're like, I could tell by your face. You're like, can we go to something else? I just meant kind of like, hi, I know you. How you doing?
That was
and I was
freaking
like,
weird.
oh, you're normal. Okay, this is cool.
Yeah, I am not trying to like show up outside your house. That's freaking weird as hell. Or I didn't say that. I didn't say
You'd
that.
be surprised.
I will tell you.
I do have to say, I want to thank a searcher out there. His name is Bill. He's not probably in the chat right now. He is a searcher that I hit a huge bind when I was actually moving and I needed some stuff moved.
Yeah, heck
And
yeah,
I
he
was
was
like, I know I said I never want a searcher at my house. Would you please come over? And he's like, what? I'm like, I need you. Because he's a big, huge North Carolina guy.
He's
And
a big dude.
Yeah, he came over with some friends. And I had that house cleared out within the day. And I was like, if anybody else comes, he was so great. So there's certain searchers, if I invite you, come on over. The searchers that I don't, you don't know me. You don't know me. I'm not sassy, so you don't know me.
Yeah.
Anyway, Davio, are you there? Can we hear you?
Microphone check 1, 2.
Yes.
Victory.
Okay. All
3.
I know is I am the technical guru of the world, even though it's totally Candy and Mike. Oh, I saw it was on Sassy's channel that, oh man, that voice. I give her some props. I mean, that's awesome. So anyway, Candy and I had a few things we wanted to say, and then you guys got into so much good chat. We didn't want to step on toes, but we're like, ooh, this could just be fun. And so we decided to make it a little party because those of you that don't know, there's a little thing called coronavirus going around. I think we need to figure out how to, oh my gosh, Cowlazars, thank you, cha-ching, for the super chat. I appreciate that.
That's the Peroni virus.
Yeah, well, my campus is extending their spring break. We are going online, and unfortunately, I am not dealing with how to move my class online. I am dealing with a whole bunch of faculty and making sure they feel very supported. And we have faculty that this is their first year. Technology is all about them. They're great. And some that are 30 years in and everybody in between. And, you know, students that are nervous. I mean, there's just so much happening. I will tell you, I spent the last week in Vegas. First day when there wasn't a lot of hysteria, to middle of the week when it hit there and it hit the casinos and things started shutting down and no NBA, no PGA.
Oh, so crazy.
Yeah, and by the end of the week, it's like, am I going to get home? I mean, that was, and I know you didn't get out, right, Carter?
We were supposed to fly out this morning. It was terrible. Well, the flights from RDU to Denver were still going, but the ski resorts in Colorado were shut down.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's not fly 4 hours to then drive 28 hours back, you know? Like that's...
Well, I was sitting in a casino with Mike where he's like, Disneyland just shut down. Universal Studios just shut down. He's like,
the world.
Oh, yeah, he's like, are you going to get home? And I have dogs and cats. And I mean, I would have figured out a way, but it was... it was a little bit of, and then I'm supposed to travel in 2 weeks, and then I'm supposed to travel in about 6 weeks. And unless it's like job critical, everything's shut down. And the conferences that I was going to, they're shut down. So it's not like I have somewhere to travel to. So, yeah.
You know, good time to invest in Zoom stock, FaceTime stock, and they've shut the bars and places you would hang out. That's all supposed to be happening around here pretty soon. It already happened in California back home. But
California would not survive zombies. This has already taught me. Just letting you guys know.
Well, the Zoom, they said they had more Zoom because all of our faculty are moving on to Zoom, and we're actually doing all of our meetings to prepare for it on Zoom. And they say Zoom has like double the amount of people than they've ever had on. I don't know how it's working yet. Tomorrow is our big day. We're going to have 300 or 400 people on one Zoom, and then 50. So I have about 4 Zooms scheduled tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see. But I did go, Carter, I'm interested in your experience. I went to a grocery store, kind of a higher end grocery store. There, other than toilet paper, I even got paper towels. I was fine. But I went to Walmart today. Ooh, there was a lot sold out. Like, they weren't bare, but it was definitely like close.
So I thought this was really fascinating because everybody's all over the place as far as like where they live. But for us in North Carolina, so I live like an hour south of Kpro in the Raleigh-Durham area, in a pretty rural area. And we were staying up in the Chapel Hill, Raleigh-Durham area last night because we were really close to the RDU airport, so we could fly to Durham, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And this morning we woke up and we were just chilling and we were like, okay, we'll go get some like groceries, but we're going to go to like the nice high-end bakeries. We're going to get some nice bread. My wife's European. If you've watched any of my like videos, she's from Germany. Yeah. Kpro met her. And my in-laws, my German in-laws are like right next door. They can hear me, I'm sure, right now. So it's kind of awkward. But anyway, you know, and anywho, so see Kyle. But anyway, that's not censored, right? So anyway, it's
I'll ask you the other questions later.
Yeah, they're beautiful people. But anyway, so so we go to all these nice bakeries up in the Raleigh-Durham Cary area. This morning we go get all of our like breads and cheeses and all these European things. I grew up in like peanut butter and, you know, grape jelly and Wonder Bread, and that was like, you know, mac and cheese. And that is not how my wife rolls, so that is not any longer how I roll. So I was like, let's get back to where we live, because we live in a small population area. And we got back here and I said, okay, I'll go to the store, I'll get whatever we need. And I went to the store. So FYI, like for anybody that hasn't watched my videos, that story that Forrest Fenn tells about flying from like Nova Scotia or Newfoundland or whatever to Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina is like 20 miles from where I live. Like it's in our backyard. Like we hear them shoot like big cannons and stuff. Like it's like, you know, my dog freaks out because they're doing military exercises. We're not far from Pope Air Force Base or airfield or whatever it is. It's Fort Bragg, Army, whatever. Anywho, all of that is to say, apparently all the special forces live around here. And so when like ish hits the fan, ish is not a censored word, right? On this channel.
Ish is a fabulous
word. So ish. So when ish hits the fan, apparently all of these like special forces families just like, you know, supermarket sweep. Did you ever watch that? They just go in and just like, it's like nothing's. And I went to this grocery store and nothing was there. And I went to it like 2 days ago and everything was there. I mean, no vegetables, nothing.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely nothing was here. And so we're here this afternoon, and I was like, well, we were planning on being in Colorado all week.
So you cleared out your fridge.
Yeah, so we didn't buy anything. We have nothing to eat. And then we show back up here because, you know, our vacation's canceled.
So what's your plan? Like, are you going to take out neighbors?
No, I spent 2 hours this afternoon driving from grocery store to grocery store to grocery store to grocery store. Like I went all like make sure my dog has food. I had to go to like, multiple places. And then my wife and my in-laws are texting me like, are you okay? Like, where are you? Like,
I mean, did you pick up a gun? You know,
yeah, no, 100%.
Davio, what about you? Like Colorado. So you're Denver, you're in a little more populated area. Like, I mean, I don't think anywhere has toilet paper, but anything else missing?
And all the toilet paper is gone from, let's see, Safeway. Safeway, it looks like the hardest hit. No vegetables, barely any food. I mean, everything's diminished. I mean, even in like cold supplies and all that. Nothing on the paper product shelves. Home Depot, no toilet paper there. Walgreens, I try not to go there. The other one is Sam's Club or I forget what it's called. Some other local kind of Mexican kind of base place. And that place has got some stuff, but no poultry, no eggs. That's all gone. Safeway told me that their truck is coming in tomorrow.
That's what I heard.
Etc. So it sounds like everything will be okay tomorrow. Everybody kind of like went a little nuts today. You know, I talked to a friend of ours who works at the hospital, and they're like, you know, there's more suicides than people are dying from this.
Yeah.
You know, should bring attention to stuff really kind of important because
let's look at the positives.
Oh, internet. Just
I don't think that was the internet. I think that was me.
Okay, so Candy, are you surviving? Do you have toilet paper? I mean, are you good?
Yeah, we shop at Costco and we did this like weeks ago. So we have, I want to say 5 packs of the big thing of toilet paper. So if you guys need some, I'll mail it to you, you know.
Candy, where are you?
California.
Yeah.
Where like the world is basically on fire because it's ran by hipsters and, you know, the younger generation. So they stand 4 hours in line for fresh eggs and meat because everything in the stores is already sold out.
Wow, you are hardcore.
Oh, and also they bought everything in bulk. So they bought hand sanitizer, face masks, toilet paper, water in bulk. So these people who have no souls are going online to like you know, Poshmark and places where you could sell stuff and selling the products at inflated prices, which is terrible. So
They'll get hit. They'll get nailed with fines after the fact. Yeah.
I know.
So, well, here's the funny part. I got back in last night and I bought a bunch of stuff before I left because I like to come home to completely clean house and everything stocked up. That's like paper goods. And I noticed some of my paper goods gone. And I asked the person that takes care of my animals while I'm gone. I'm like, what happened? And she's like, well, none of the neighbors had toilet paper or paper towels. So they'll pay you back, but we gave them to the neighbors and they're really appreciative.
What?
And I'm like, this was my like, oh, that's what you did, huh? I just thought like, oh, like, so I know all my neighbors are going to come around and be like, here's your toilet bowl. I mean, like, you don't take toilet paper, but I just thought, okay, that's somebody taking care of your house for you.
You know what's crazy though? They're getting rid, like people are so scared of the virus right now. They're actually bringing back or getting rid of their animals because they're reading that the animals can, you know, have the virus.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that this virus isn't that bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I unfortunately said this at the middle of the night to a poker. He was running the floor and I was like, more people die from the flu. And I give some statistics. He got angry. He was like, this is serious. They need to shut this place down. And I agree with Daniel Negreanu. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, if you look at the facts, it says one thing. So I'm a little hesitant in saying, he's like, what is your credentials? And I thought, like, I have a crutch is what I wanted to say, but I didn't. I just kept my mouth shut. So I'm hesitant in answering, but I think, Carter, you and I are on the same page.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you exactly what my credentials are. I'm married to a doctor who went to med school with a whole bunch of doctors, and my best man at my wedding is an ER doctor. And so I get an unbelievable amount of text messages and emails that are medical related from all doctors. And if you are in the 60 plus, sorry, Davio, you know, oh, yeah, be careful. He said he was earlier on earlier tonight. He did.
No way. He looks too good. Nope.
Oh, I know. I can't say I do him, right? But no, that's not.
Oh,
yeah,
you said that to a woman and screwed up?
Carter,
you'd be
it's so I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah, come on. Everybody has to laugh a little more. Give me a break. We're dying of coronavirus here, and you know, let's just.
I live down
no,
the street.
We're dying of boredom from coronavirus.
But that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Let's be honest. Stop. You know, let's not pick this to death. But it's in honesty, like it's unreal. Like the amount of, if you're going to be skewered either way politically in this day and age, if you decide to shut down the economy, then you look at how bad the economy is, and it's because of you and, you know, your choices or your political affiliation. And then if you choose not to shut down everything, people are going to die. Maybe more people die of the flu or, you know, whatever. But, you know, then it's like, well, you know, all these people died because you didn't shut down stuff. It's a really difficult situation. And I just wish the rest of us had more nuance to our, you know, judgment of what's going on. It's not fun.
We are managing a PR issue more than managing
I think
true
so.
epidemic.
I think
and I
so.
will say, here's how much I like Carter. I have Mike and many, many, many other people in my world. Him and I actually I won't say debated. We discussed political views.
Whoa, you were not supposed to say that.
I know,
Oh.
and I'm going to say it. I've had a few of these waters, and I'm going to say it.
You
So
were not supposed to say that.
Mike's not
I
watching.
was sworn to secrecy.
I've already gotten a message. I don't care. I'm going to tell you. I felt you were sworn to secrecy. I sat in front of the Koch brothers, and I did not tell them my secrets. I did. I was so comfortable with Carter.
You didn't tell me secrets. You didn't tell me secrets. I still don't know where you stand. I can guesstimate. I can guesstimate. You weren't that forthcoming. Don't.
But we talked about it for several hours, and I would say a good 2 hours of our discussion was politics. But
I agree.
Let's transition here because that means I'll be
Please.
a special guest eventually on Household Diaries.
Household Diaries.
House Husband Diaries.
What exactly is in that red Solo cup?
You know, this is the sauce that has not disappeared from the
Cheers, my dear.
Ding.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Candy?
As Candy's like, let's just go on real late. And I'm thinking, a few more of these and Mike's going to kick my tushy.
Chrissy, this is why I have to go to Vegas next time you're out there. I swear. We will tear up the town.
I have a picture. I have a picture to share tonight. I just found it in my bag that just came from Vegas. And I'm like, you'll see the picture tonight. And oh my goodness, what goes to Vegas stays in Vegas, except for what goes on camera. So, we're gonna and YouTube. Okay, so let's transition to this chase. Hi, Forrest. We wanted to say hi to you because we know you're watching tonight.
If he's still here, he's probably shaking his head, just like
He didn't watch any of this, please.
No, he's watching.
I was gonna say.
He's watching, trust me.
That's so embarrassing.
Yeah, he is. Okay, so I think we have I think Carter is pretty much going to be focused. I'm going to speak for you guys.
I'm just giggling. Don't mind me.
Warm Water Salt. I think Davio is focused on a complete solve that is the basis is imagination, but has lots of depth to it. And Candy, I don't know how much you want said. I can characterize it.
Did you not hear me last night on A Gypsy's Kiss? I had like 3 of these, and I think I spilled my entire solve. Maybe. I don't know.
You said that to me. I do have to say, I got on A Gypsy's Kiss. So when I take the 5 a.m. flight out, Mike and I just play poker all night, and then I just pour myself onto a plane. And I did that, and I didn't sleep that much. So when I was like, hi, everybody. And then I just... so no, I don't. I'll just say I think Candy, I will say I think she has a complete solve or close to it and has some really interesting ideas, but I think like Davio, dancing with the whole how much do I share, how much do I give away. I will say after I saw in the next morning you saying that, here's the thing, no one cares because it's not their solve. So even though you could give away your entire solve, and I don't think anybody, but no, catch everybody else up and people are saying you're brilliant and you're awesome.
I've come up to the realization that no matter what information you give to the media, they're never going to be able to think your thoughts. So it doesn't matter if you give them an answer to Warm Waters, Homer Brown, how things flow. They're not going to be able to see the imagination you have in your head. So they're not going to be able to create the map needed to find the gold. That's how I see it. So I could tell you guys as much as you want, and you'll be like, okay, you're crazy. I don't see what you're talking about. Walk away. But then I could lay it out, and I could go right to the chest, maybe. It just all depends on point of view and imagination.
Okay. I will just say, I'm going to warn the room a little bit. If you think you have the treasure chest, you have to produce proof here or on Thor. You can't just say Forrest is, disguising it, etc.
I never said that.
I know I was there. He took. I know it was there. I saw the hole in the ground where it was. I did. There was a hand grenade pin there and a picture of his girlfriend. I know.
Well, I will just say in general, we do have someone in the room that called me every name in the book, and I had to censor all the 4-letter words. And I'm okay with you here. You're no longer on Thor unless you get a new name. But let's just keep it clean tonight. And yes, this is the one thing I will say, and this is why I was so excited to have Carter on tonight. We need to do this more because this is the grumpy time of year and people are starting to cancel They're boots on the ground. Not because they're worried about coronavirus. They're worried about their hotel. Exactly what Carter just went through. So that's all I'm saying.
What are we talking about?
People canceling their boots on the ground because they're not prepared?
Would you go? No, not prepared, but like right now, Mike and I are debating, and I will say we're on the opposite side of the debate. One of us says, let's still make our airline tickets and yellows. We actually have a searcher that we would stay with, but one of us says, let's wait to see how this settles. What do you say, Carter, who just canceled his vacation?
Ooh, the coronavirus.
Not that I think I'm going to get it. Are the airlines going to actually be functioning?
Okay, here's what I'll say. I said this on a video a while ago, like within the last couple of weeks. If I were to come up with what I view as a complete solve that I was like solid on, you wouldn't hear from me. But what I mean is but I also record. So I have like the next 7 days or 8 days of videos recorded because I knew I was going to be on vacation. However, I'm not on vacation because I'm here live and I'm back in my house. And you can tell that because of this stupid map behind me. But thanks. I am totally not bitter that my vacation got canceled because of some people got some flu. But anyway, if I knew where the treasure chest was, I would be out there like a bandit. Like if I really, you don't even know. This is how I know, Candy. You haven't watched my videos because every Sunday I do travel videos and I've been all over the world.
I subscribed tonight.
I know, though. Please do. But
I did. I
watch my Sunday videos. I've been all over the world. I spent my 20s traveling the world in nonprofit, and I've been in the poorest countries, or some of the poorest countries in the world. And I have spent months of my life in very remote places, and they don't involve snow because most of the poorest places are somewhere around the equator. But I would shoot out to the West Coast, to the Rocky Mountains, and rent a car. And and I would have enough videos that are pre-recorded, and you would never know I was out there. And then I'd come back, and then people were commenting on my videos, "Don't put it in your car and don't drive back." And I was like, you obviously don't travel very much because I've never been checked in a car ever. You know, exactly. unless I was going across an international border. But when you go across a state border, nobody ever checks you, you know? So if it's in the Rocky Mountains in the US, you're 100% fine. I would drive 2,000 miles back to North Carolina. I would probably email a few of y'all and be like, hey, you want to come here, and here's my address, and like y'all want to hang out and like, or meet me at a restaurant, or maybe we'll grill on some ribeye. You would tell us
that you found it?
Oh, 100% I would.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
What would you do once you walked up to the chest though?
What would I do?
I would cry, I would scream, I would pee myself all within the same minute. I'm sorry, I would. That would be the emotions. And I don't know the only thing is I don't know what order.
Probably all but pee myself.
You know you wouldn't. Sorry.
No, but guys are a little bit easier. We can eject. You know what I mean? So we're
okay.
Well, we're not going to pee ourselves.
I feel like if I found the chest, honestly, I know many people don't believe me, but I would go into the chest. I would read his little biography, his autobiography.
That would take way too long.
And then, I mean, he did it for a reason. He did it with like where you have to use a microscope to read it. Like, you want to know the truth in comparison to the Philip Chase because it's not the same. And then I would grab the bracelet and I would leave that damn thing right where I found it and walk away because I want that to go on for the next generation.
All right, you brought up a good point. You had a pre-thought out answer to that question. I've thought about that and I forgot because I got caught up in the moment. What I would really do if I found the chest, because I think it's more than likely in New Mexico, I would actually email, because I don't have anybody's cell phone numbers in this chase. Like I only email Kpro and Davio and everything. Like I'm not one of those people that like. Well, I know you have my number, but I don't have your number. So And I've never asked for it because you're really sensitive about that. And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to get your number. I'm not trying to get anybody's number. Like, I'm just here. I'm around. You can have my number. Y'all can, like, I don't care. Davio has my number. Whoever has emailed me actually has my number because it's on my signature. And if you want it, it's there. I don't care. Carter at HH Diaries. Email me. I'll email you back. But I would probably email a number of y'all, and then I would plan, but go back to Forrest and like I would probably try to get everybody to meet up, because the value of that treasure chest is enough to cover the cost of everybody's plane flights. And I value the community so much that I think it would be really neat while Forrest is alive to have everybody that's kind of been a player on YouTube and whatever to just kind of come in and like, here's the solve and talk about it privately. I mean, I would want my own, if it were me, I would want my own hour or two to like, talk to Forrest, but then I would want everybody else to be like, if it were financially feasible for people to drop their jobs and come out and, but figure it out. And like, I think it would be really neat to be, like, intimate as a people, not like, and then later on it would go on YouTube and whatever. But I mean, like, I think there'd be some really neat conversations that you don't get.
Okay, so let me
whatever.
ask. Since
Sorry, Tier.
Well, no, but two of you on this panel, I haven't asked Davio yet, but the two of you are saying basically you are not Candy's saying she's not taking the chest at all. She's leaving it.
But I am taking the bracelet.
The bracelet and the biography, because there's a story there. And
no, I'm just going to read it, and then I'm going to leave the biography there, because remember, Fenn's wish was for someone to find that later on in life and be like, oh, he's why we did this.
Okay, so Candy's saying that, and Carter, you're saying you're going to get it, cash it out, give it to all your friends to come have a big party, and we're going to talk about the solve.
Yeah, sort of. I wouldn't cash it out. I mean, I'd probably
then how
try
does
to...
everybody get there? I mean, everybody's in North Carolina with like me.
Personal loans. I'm not saying.
Oh, okay.
That's cheaper than cashing out the treasure chest. Come on.
Okay. So what are you going to do with the treasure chest then?
I don't know. I think that would be fascinating. So I don't think I want to waste people's time on what I would do.
2 hours behind.
Right? It would be
forever to try and figure out the tech issue.
I would do a ton. Oh, what are you doing?
Down into the land
we can hear you, Candy.
Candy, I think on her end it stalled out. She's headed for the Wi-Fi and she's gonna hit it.
Yeah, no, you're fine, Candy. Come back. No, I mean, what would I do with all of the other stuff? I don't know yet, but I think that's what I'm saying is before I had to make the decision, I would like to fly everybody in, and that's only going to be a few $1,000s, and that's not a problem. And so, like, why not have a conversation, put people up, and just say, hey, thanks so much for the community, and let's talk about it after I talk to Forrest, because I have no idea what Forrest's intentions are or whatever. But then I would very much be like, hey, it would be nice if y'all could come to Santa Fe and whatever, because it's sort of the end of, an era. But let's be honest, the likelihood of that happening is way less than 1%, because I have no solve. I have no area, it's just not happening. But that's what I would do.
Okay. Well, I don't have as much issue. So my issue then is more with Candy. I have heard from many, 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 many searchers how they're going to leave the chest. And I want to say, so Candy, can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you out of your ever-loving mind? There is no way you're leaving that treasure chest. And I want you to know that your chest is on fire. I don't know if it's a glare or what. No,
I'm telling you 100%.
So your chest.
I would leave it. The whole reason
other
I'm
chest,
doing this
other
is
other
for
chest,
the solve.
your chest.
Hold on, Candy. You have a glare. There you go. So I just sorry.
No. Hold on.
What sort of treasure chest are we looking for is what I really want to know here.
Forrest want to talk to the person that finds it? Does he really give a shit?
He does. Oh, we have an entire segment on that in the interview that we did for the documentary. Absolutely.
We totally talked about this at that undisclosed restaurant location.
But you're not supposed to say it. We're like, there's secrets there. People get secrets out of me, and we weren't even having a
But
drink.
we didn't get secrets. That's what I'm saying. I'm actually offended because we talked about this, and I said I think Forrest would love to have a conversation with a person that found this. You know, I mean, like, who wouldn't? Like, if you did this, like, it just seems like, and now you're confirming it.
I had conversations with Fenn.
Oh, really?
Well, okay, Candy, I don't really know how you got in the end. Maybe it's because you're a girl that's a decent looking, and I'm not, whatever. I have a wife, so I can't, I got a whatever. So I, whatever. I'm like, yeah. So I don't really know, but like, I'm not emailing Forrest because I'm not like, hey, bud, how's it going? Want to tell me a little something?
I think Forrest is a math expert, as I'm going to be when I turn 80 years old.
It's never gonna happen. The ageless Davio 22.
82.
82. Well, Davio, have you said how old you are? Because I didn't know what Carter said.
1950.
Oh, you got to say it again.
There's no winning, you guys.
And I'm 62 years old.
Oh my
And I've been
gosh, that's shocking.
About 2012.
Oh, my glasses.
Oh, get your glasses.
Okay, so we haven't hit the hard-hitting content tonight. We've more hit, like, we're just going to leave the chest. And
Some chest.
parties, and there's no toilet paper. Somebody asked, is there toilet paper in the treasure chest? Because that seems to be what's most valuable these days. So outside of that, so how do we focus? I really like how House Husband Diaries, the focus that it seems like the channel is going to go to, which is, and Candy did a great video today. So we're all 4 tubers, 2 of them, but one of them specifically was on WWWH. I know everybody thinks they've got it figured out, and they still don't have the chest. So let's at least focus on WWWH. How do we get there? How do we focus on it? How do we get the right one? Many are beyond that. So what do
I feel like
go ahead.
to figure out where warm waters halt, first off, you have to break it down. People are looking at this begin where warm waters halt. What you need to do is begin, start, where, the place where, warm waters, not warm and waters, warm waters, and then halt. So when you break down the definition of the word halt, the number 1 definition is a temporary suspension in movement. So it's not cease, it's not stop, nothing like that. It's temporary suspension in movement. So where with warm water can you find a temporary suspension in movement? Like, where do you find where warm waters halt? You don't have to say the place, Kpro, but you could say like how you came to figure out where warm waters halt in your, solve.
I believe, and I'm not secret about this, I believe it's somewhere you can tip your toe in. I know some people have issues with that, and that's fine. This is my opinion. Warm is something warm to the touch. It's not cold. I think cold and hot are very polarizing. It needs to be warm, whether that's 62 or 87. I don't think we need to get that exact. I think it needs to be warm to the touch. If you've ever been in Ojo Caliente, just move over a couple degrees, because I actually think it's where cold and hot come together, and it's all in one space. I didn't understand that until Ojo Caliente, where Forrest used to bathe is exactly where I was, and I went, I kind of get it now. So I do think it's a bringing together of 2. And I don't believe it's just a toe. This is something that's the furthest out, so I haven't ruled out others, but I believe it is somewhere you can actually bathe or be completely in as a person or human being. But there's a ton of those in every single, and I think even warm might be a technical term. If you want to look up warm springs versus hot springs, there is a definition to those in every state. So those are my 3 or 4, whatever it is. But that's what perplexes me the most, because how do you figure it out? How do you narrow it down? I actually think this is the only question I regret not asking in the interview. is your WWWH as special as the final spot? Because I don't think anybody's ever asked that. Is the WWWH somewhere he bathed that was so, or a spot that was so special to him, different than the ninth clue where you look quickly down from the blaze?
Well, Fenn has stated that when people arrive to his special place, they're not going to know it. He said that they won't know why this is special to him because he took it out of the autobiography that he left in the chest.
Wait, say that again. I got distracted by the room. Say that.
So, Forrest Fenn himself has actually stated that us as searchers, when we finally figure out the poem, the solve, and we arrive to the special place, we won't know why it's special. We won't know about it because he originally put it in his biography, but then he took it out the last minute because it's special only to him. So obviously there's lots of people who are naysayers about West Yellowstone, stuff like that, or Yellowstone. But I feel like the map he created for us, which is the poem itself, will tell you. But unless you are very, deep into the historic spots of, what he's talking about in his book and the memories in his book, you won't really understand it. So the poem purists and stuff like that, they just go by the poem. And if they show up there with the poem, they won't understand why it's special to them.
Yeah, except for he says there's a story there that only the finder is going to know. What's the story? Is the story? But they still won't know why it's special. Maybe not. Go ahead, Davio.
Here's the question. So metaphoric or physical? Kpro is saying temperature of water. Physical, metaphoric. Warm water.
I said that to Toby on AGK the other day. He asked if it's metaphorical or, actual literal. And I said all the clues are actually literal, like every single one of them.
Sure. It's one theory, right? I mean, he has said the hardest clue is warm water halts. Everything else is easier after it. That's a real quote, right there.
Yeah, because it's a riddle.
Well, true, but whatever it is,
but he's also said it's not a riddle.
Nope, I have quotes from Terry Scant where Fenn says you got to solve the riddle in my poem to be.
And I have quotes that I can show you the videos where Forrest has said publicly, "It is not a riddle. This is Forrest." For every quote you have, there's many others that will say the opposite. There is a quote of Forrest has said, it's not a riddle, which is like, he has said both.
But it is a game. Whether it's a riddle, whether the whole bloody thing is a game. Yes?
Yes.
We have to do something here. We're lost, right? So we agree.
I feel like Carter's dying inside.
Yeah?
Just taking another sip.
I'm sorry, I missed it. So anyways, I see this as a game and we're playing it. And because of page 5, how he talks about a poker game, I see this as that, not that he's bluffing, but he doesn't have to tell all of the truth. He could give partial truth. And what we can extrapolate is that this is the most complex or the hardest part of the whole thing is figuring out where warm water halts, because that's the flag in the ground. That's where you start from, right? So, I mean, that's got to mean a lot. If you think Home of Brown is the Board of Education and those numbers need to get you somewhere, well, you got to know where to apply those numbers, right? You need a flag in the ground. You have to have a hard start. And I believe that's what he's referring to when he's talking about warm water's halt. And so for me, it breaks down to, well, what's our complexity here? If it's physical, then I'm looking for this specific place. I think he's trying to get me to a specific place, but I think there's layers to it. I think it's cool water halts. That's Roy Rogers. And that's, boom, off into a whole world of Roy Rogers and movies and songs and what's that's related to. I mean, it even gets you to Willie Nelson because that's the name of his guitar is Trigger. So in that would be complex. Those were a lot of parts. I see this as many, many parts getting you to a hard location where there is a flag, and the information from that first location takes you out to your blaze. This is what I've extrapolated. This is where I'm living. I have found the key word. I have found that the lack of chapter numbers makes you want to find out what chapter number it is. Those numbers become relevant. The lack of index at the front of the book, I feel is telling me to look at Dead Poets Society because he tears out the front of the book, and everything in that movie is in this book. Midsummer's Night's Dream, All the World's a Stage, all kinds of references.
No, that's what I was talking about the other night when you were listening on AGK.
Exactly. And Toby's not going to have it. I mean, he's starting to go that way because the route he has taken is not working for him. I mean, it just is endless dead end after dead end. Whereas if metaphor,
every single person is dead end after dead end because they don't have it. So
I just want to point out when I do my research, I make sure I back up my research with actual hard cold facts, right? So Fenn himself has quoted "As You Like It" from Shakespeare in My War for Me.
yes.
And when you read about that and you get more into it and what his message is about the lonely soldier from Soldier Stone, he's talking about the 7 ages of man, which I was talking about last night.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 ages of man actually prove that the whole entire poem, where it talks about, a man has 7 ages before he exits the world, it's a metaphor for fate. And what do we have in the beginning of The Thrill of the Chase, the memoir? It talks about fate and how, you're going to play whether you like it or not. And it's pretty much a whole, simile for As You Like It, the play. But when Fenn talks about the structure of his book and the memories from it, he's breaking down exactly what the 7 ages of man are, which is the infant, the schoolboy, the lover, the justice, the pantalone, and the old man, which talks about double omegas, beginning and end, the entrance and the exit. Sorry,
That's right.
I've had some beer, but that is my theory.
Well, but here's the thing. This is the thing that's the most frustrating, I think, about the Forrest Fenn hunt. I had a hunt, several hunts that I've been a part of, that not anything like, a couple $1,000 hunts, that once you confirm the beginning, like the first clue, you pretty much know it, it's locked down, and you move on.
Right.
In this hunt, I believe I have had 4 solves, and I believe all 4 solves, I felt to the 9th clue, man, it fit. This is like one of those puzzles that have several that fit, but it's not the right solution. And so that's the most frustrating part of this is, Candy, you brought up something that I hadn't seen before. And when you brought it up on AGK had something that was a little bit twisted, but a little bit similar. The hard part about this, and you have Forrest that has said certain things opposite. He knows where he knows if it's been found, but he doesn't know where it's been found, but he knows the type of searcher would check in with him. He has said some things that are 100% on its face contradictory.
Yeah.
So when you look at this, you go, God, it's perfect. That's why you get the high. I've gone boots on the ground. He says, go with confidence. I'm like, I'm going with when I get there, I go, oh, and I didn't talk to him for days. And when he messaged me and said, are you okay? And I was like, don't talk to me right now. I'm so mad at you because I thought I had it.
Yes.
This is something different that I think we have red herrings. I think we have contradictory statements, and I don't think we're able to confirm.
Of course there's red herrings.
But then no one can say they have anything solved until they actually pick it up.
Have the chest in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that. But I mean, for instance, when Fenn says, don't mess with my poem, creating an anagram out of his poem is messing with it. And if you guys have been looking online, I figured it out like last year. I don't know how long it's been up, but the first stanza actually anagrams perfectly to find the hidden chest, or find the chest hidden in Southwest Montana, Madison River, a creek near Lions Bridge, a place where so EYE, now heal. Obviously, that's a red herring. But there's so many things that you can actually manipulate within the poem itself. It could create whatever you want. But the thing with Fenn and what he's doing with the poem is the answers themselves are in the words of the poem. So
agree. I'm trying to understand.
Effort worth your cold.
You guys keep saying this word over and over. 2 words that I really don't understand: red herring and bias. Bias is my opinion. If I'm talking, constant bias. Red herring. So that means he intentionally put information in there to lead you astray. What if it's your interpretation? What if you've taken this much information that's there and all you need is this much? What if you're collecting parts of information instead of the whole thing? I mean, it's all about perception and your interpretation. I mean, you're saying in other words, what I noticed Toby is he always puts up fences around himself. He says it's not this, it's not that, it's got to be this, and it's going to be this, and it's going to be water temperature. Well, I mean, why would you want to put a fence around yourself?
You have to be open interpretation because
Wait,
that's the only way you're going to learn.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because I've had long discussions with my search dad, and I've had long discussions with you, Davio. As much as he is fishing regulations, you are, and Kpro will say, I think he's right about this or right about, you are committed to your solve just as much with periodic table and directions and some directions in the book and those sorts of things, that I don't think you, as much as he is committed, you are committed. We can't judge him or you, in my opinion, until somebody actually has a treasure chest.
I've actually looked into New Mexico, Colorado, everywhere. I'm not just biased to my personal solve. I've reached out to people to figure out what their solve is, if they need help, and I see what my imagination can attribute to their solve. So when you guys talk New Mexico, I've done a multitude of different solves and posted them online to help people. So I'm not telling people my solve is the only solve. Like, that is totally rude, and I would never do that. I'm just saying 5 years of research and working on it. It wasn't until a couple of weeks ago that I finally figured out what I even had to begin with, because it's something, but it's not until you actually understand the meaning behind it, it actually makes sense. So with Davio, how he's talking about, there's certain things that play into each other that will reveal, but it's based on a different age group because only certain people from that, generation would understand or relate to it. That is somewhat true. But it just depends on where you're looking and what you've researched and what you've accumulated in the book itself.
Okay, so let's stop for a second. Carter has been dominating this conversation, and I'm sick of it. So, Carter, chime in. What do you think about confirmation bias? What do you think about, is there any confirmation along the way? Tell us your story.
I mean, I think anybody that saw your last marathon would know what I think about confirmation bias and spreadsheets. I love you, Toby, if you're watching. Thanks so much for letting me disagree with you. I don't, maybe that would be fun on the next March 28th marathon. Yo, me and Toby to go at it on spreadsheets, Let's go. Come on, masters in accounting. Let's go. But honestly, like, it's everybody has a solve, everybody has a whatever, and I will argue New Mexico because I think that's just, like, it just makes sense that it's in New Mexico for whatever. Just on the surface of things, obviously you can easily defend Montana or Wyoming. Like, I would also support that. That's where I'm trying to get back to where warm water salt. Like, what does that mean? And obviously a few people have figured it out. Most people haven't. And yet a number of people show up at where warm water salt. And if you figure out the first two clues, you're within 200 to 500 feet. So I don't think there's 50 miles to drive. I don't think there's 10 miles to drive. I think Forrest is playing a word game that you're within 500 to 1,000 feet when you park. And what does that look like? And obviously my own personal bias as a fairly imaginative human being is, how fun would it be to sit here in this place, and if you saw the last few minutes of me and Davio just kind of hanging out, waiting for you guys to figure out your technical issues, was just, if I were Forrest, I would sit somewhere fairly public, fairly known, and go, how could I write a poem and a poem, yeah, whatever. Everybody wants to rag me for poem. Anyway, so how would I write that and make it so ambiguous that I have the last laugh because it's just right here. Like, it's here's what it is.
Agree with you there.
And it's not even nothing, it's just right here. And that's why I think when he says when the correct solve is revealed, everybody's going to be surprised. It's going to be because it's not some massive canyon or some whatever. It's going to be he was sitting somewhere, and the special spot wasn't special because it was unknown, because his special spot in Vietnam wasn't special, right? When he got down there were buried bodies.
Right.
So it wasn't just unknown to him. There had been a terrible massacre there years before he ever got there.
So
It
don't
was,
you think
it wasn't
that might
his
be the
alone.
story? Like, what's the story I believe, this is
Well,
my
that brings
personal
up a whole nother ball game.
There's
Whoa.
a story he hasn't told, I
Well-
believe. And I'm not talking a story that's going to be special to him, between him and his father, or a special story about what. I think it is going to literally be an epic story that he is going to be known for because his father wasn't. And we're talking like epic at a whole different level. What is that? And that solver, that's why they can't walk away. That's why they can't just say, they're going to go, oh my gosh, I now know that story.
There's
I feel like that story-
there's something that none of us have ever thought about.
Not even his family knows. If he had a special spot, he loved Peggy from like 6 to, I don't know, whatever, like so young. If it was just a story,
Easy on the ages.
Exactly. A long time ago, he would have been sitting there with her, having a good old time under the pine tree.
Well, she's not into fishing, right? I mean, he said that she's not really that kind of an outdoor. She likes to glamp, but I don't see her,
Well, that's why they go to Paradise or Parade or whatever, the one that I always miss it. I went there.
Parade Rest Ranch.
Parade Rest Ranch. I went there because I heard that exact thing. And I have to tell you, that's glamping, camping style. I wouldn't mind that place. They cook all your meals. I went and talked to the ranch hands, and I don't mean that in a bad way. They're like, I was like, I'm thinking about staying here. What do you think? Probably Carter, me, and your wife will like totally love it there because they cook every meal. Then they take you, and there's like someone with you. It's like, and they make sure you don't get too far out. They have your waters for you. I mean, it's expensive. But I see why they say
Whoa.
I don't know your wife well enough to say that.
You don't know nothing.
I don't know nothing.
Wait, hold on. So next Sunday, so this earlier today, none of y'all watched my video on India, so you have no idea about my trip to India 12 years ago, which was dirty and crazy and a whole nother ball game. But I also spent over a month of my life in Haiti. So when you talk about roughing it, hey, if you want to go camping, like I will go camping. If you want to go glamping, I will gladly go glamping.
Well, I wasn't saying you. I was saying maybe maybe I stereotyped there a little bit because I know doctor and all that. So I'm just saying, and I do have to say,
PhD or MD?
Oh, not all doctorates are equal. Okay, I like that. Okay, this is what
She will rough it like you will never know.
Probably rough it more than me. Okay, that's fine.
Here's the deal. Hold on. I'm gonna say this. I gotta whisper though, because my in-laws are right around the. She was born in East Germany behind the wall.
No one repeat that.
Nobody heard that. She's born in East Germany behind the wall.
Gotta be born somewhere, man.
That's tough.
Carter is the little girl from India, all grown up. I'm just saying that's what they said in the chat. They just said it in the chat.
I identify as a little girl from India.
Did you see Pink Floyd on the wall?
I watched a number of things. I have seen a number of things.
How did we get here? I don't know how we got here.
Yeah, no, it's all fun and games, right?
Oh, it's so much fun. I do have to say when I went to whatever the ranch was, and spent the day there, and I did check their registry and they confirmed Forrest and Peggy had stayed there. I get it. I think Peggy might not have enjoyed all the times if they roughed it. I think especially later in life, they wouldn't rough it. The ranch would be where they went. And I believe I've confirmed that's where they went. But that doesn't mean that's not special to Forrest. And maybe I don't believe it is special just from this is where I feel good, because he would have shared it with others. I think there's a story that he couldn't tell either legally or for some reason. And NBC News or Dateline or 60 Minutes, they don't pick it up because it's a feel good. There is going to be some epic story that none of us, like, he's going to go down in the history books. He's going to be in a history book. That's
Okay, honestly, I feel like the bigger picture and the epic story Fenn is trying to tell us is obviously with his memoir, which explains the double omega symbols. But if you guys haven't, looked into My War for Me, Fenn himself has said, if you don't do anything except for read one chapter in my memoir, it's to read My War for Me. And right here, he talks about where Longfellow, a quote from Longfellow, he says, "Lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints in the sand of time." So Fenn talks about, what about those of us that haven't been great men? Are we not allowed to leave behind footprints as well? And then, as you know, in his second book, Too Far to Walk, when he's going to the Firehole River with his family, he says, "I hope my grandchildren follow my footprints to that special place." Okay, so I'm not being biased about the Firehole River, but I'm just saying, I think the whole point behind this is Fenn's trying to leave behind his footprints to show that he does not want to be forgotten, not because of ego, but because he believes he needs to be remembered just as well as everyone else on the planet who fought wars. And the whole reason behind his My War for Me is talking about wars on top of wars on top of wars, and he's trying to do something to prevent that.
Or Nez Perce Trail.
Or what?
At Nez Perce Trail, Lewis and Clark.
Well, yeah, I know Nez Perce Creek for sure.
Not the creek per se, but that's the other piece is, where has his family searched?
I know that. I know exactly.
But are they as lost as the rest of us? I don't know. I'm a northerner, but I think Davio's in between, and Carter, you seem to be, you're in New Mexico?
I'm more southern. I'm more southern.
But I do have to say, the story that has not been told, it seems, in his book, is Southern. I mean, that's where he made himself. That's where the most controversy has been. That's where the raids come from. That's where I believe he was in the CIA. I believe he has some bigger stories to tell in the South, even though I'm searching in the North.
Well, of course he does. That's why his freaking real biography is in the chest. And the only person who's going to know the truth is the person who solves the most damn near impossible thing to solve.
I don't think it's that hard to solve. I think we're just not thinking the right thing, which you could say is what makes it hard. I just think we like you said. So that's one of the things we want to explore when we go live. We can talk about it on this one. I don't care what channel we talk about it, but it's like, okay, are we overcomplicating? Okay, what is overcomplicating? But then when somebody says, "Hey, if you just meet me in the waters, warm waters north in the mountains north of Santa Fe," and he's like, "You oversimplify my clues." Okay, that's a massive contradiction. And so what does that mean? So if he's told some searchers that they're overcomplicating, and then he's told some searchers, or at least one, that you're oversimplifying, there's got to be a medium, like a middle ground. And if just if meet me in warm waters, in the mountains north of Santa Fe is oversimplifying, what does that mean? And nobody really talks about that. Does that mean that that's where we need to use imagination?
Right.
Or is, because we're told we need to use imagination, and then do we put in below the home of Brown? But at the same time, searchers have been within 200 or 500 feet. And they've solved the first two clues. So what does that mean? So I'm trying to narrow down. I don't have a state necessarily. I think it's in New Mexico because it just makes sense to me.
But you're not ruling it out.
But I'm not. I'm not ruling out any other area. It makes more sense to me that it would be New Mexico, and that's just because of my own personal bias, right? Like, there's no other reason. It just seems.
Well, you have a feeling. Enough of information.
No, it's because of what I know about humanity, and I have a lot of history in Virginia, where I went to camp as a kid, where I went to high school, all this stuff. If I were going to hide a chest, it wouldn't be in Virginia. It just wouldn't. Now, that's obviously a personal bias, but I can also tell you that if you want to connect me with anybody that's important in this world, and there aren't very many people I'm closely connected with that are important, it's because of my connections to Virginia. It's just, like it's not because of anything else. And so when you say, what do I want the history of me to be known as, it's not because of when I was 7 or when I was 12. It's because of who I am as a man.
BB Bandit is not being nice.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm just, this will be the 3rd place because I bounced him in AGK, I bounced him on Thor, and I'm getting ready to bounce him now. And I just put my last warning in. Yes, you have the treasure chest. We're all, and actually, that will maybe be the next clip of, I asked Forrest, why do people make this pathetic attempt to say, I have the treasure chest and you all are so dumb? And he actually talks about that. And I think it's actually very interesting why he believes so many people, he didn't use the word pathetic. I think I did. So I'm getting ready. So,
well, I mean, I feel it's easy for people to think they have it actually solved because the poem itself is so damn vague. So it's open for interpretation, as we all know. But the fact that people go on and treat people terrible and say, oh, I've got to figure it out. You're stupid. I'm smart. Like, that is not cool. Yeah. And that's why I have issues with people that go out and do stuff like that. Like, you and other people have come out and said, like, hey, I've actually got a solve that I'm confident enough to actually explore boots on the ground. I'm going out. That's where you can support someone. But when people actually start attacking people, claiming they stole the information from them, that's where it's like, you need to take a break, dude, and check into some, like, self-help or something, and just leave the poem alone for a while because you just went over the edge.
But it was interesting because that is actually a question I asked Forrest and just wanted to know what his thoughts were, because he has had people anywhere from they're going to kill themselves if he doesn't give them hints to this has saved them to they have to sit in a chat. This is all they have is to sit in a chat and say, hey, 160 of you, I have it solved and you're dumb. And there's a psychological piece, and it brings out the extremes. I think it brings out the super brilliant. Like Michael Hall, I believe, is super brilliant on the spectrum of very smart to psychologically maybe not
or the House Husband Diaries.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. I'm talking psychologically.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Everybody in between. This gets someone, think about it, this gets somebody a psychological rush if they're able to sit in a room and say, I have it, because it gets them attention, whether it's good or bad. But we're not going to give it as much attention as it's already gotten. But I do, the part that I struggle with is like when Forrest said, go with confidence. One of the questions I asked him is, did you ever think this many people would actually be this confident? And that's the hard part, is this poem is set up in a way everyone's confident because everybody crashes when they don't have it. And after the first or second time, you realize you're like Toby. This is where I give him so much props. He is committed to the fishing regulations as WWWH. I do not believe it's that obviously, but he has been through it enough to know he's going to crash. He doesn't say, I'm going to say other people are absolutely wrong. I'm just going to say, this is what I believe in. And that's what I enjoy, is somebody that can say, this is why. Educated, articulate, smart people, and they are willing to debate. I love the debate. That's where I think it was great. Carter and Toby at the after party debated, because it wasn't you stupid SOB this. I know we need to do more of it, but you guys were two articulate, smart people that were willing to say, and if we said something like, here's the topic, go research it, and both of you are going to need to be ready to banter for half an hour.
That'd be Moss Besser, you know what I
mean? Exactly. So
set me up for success. That's all I'm asking.
Okay. I'm just saying it could be fun.
I know, but I think that's the whole point, is like, whenever I do videos or whenever any of us come on to do any of these live shows or do live shows, it's like, these are our best ideas, and we're basically sharing them because we're tired of thinking about them within the confines of our own, like skulls. And so that's it. Like there's no, this is exactly it. We're just bouncing ideas off, and I'm fascinated. And I've said this in a number of my videos. If anything I say sparks something in y'all's imagination or in y'all's ideas, or it is the missing piece in y'all's clue, and y'all go find the treasure chest, I will be so happy.
Yeah.
I have no skin in that game. Like I will not come after you. All I want you to do is to call me and be like, yo, thank you so much. That's all I want. Like, it would be because I want to hear your story, and hearing your story of all of the work you did and all of the stuff all of the dead ends, and then something I happened to say just sparked something, and then that was the connecting piece. Like, I would be like, that's so crazy because I said so much bullshit, and that was like, like, that's crazy that like that little thing, because I didn't even know. Like, that would be just enough for me. That'd be so cool. And then it'd be cool if you came to North Carolina, I'd give you a high five. But like, other than that, like, I really just don't care at all. Like, it doesn't impact me like at all. Yeah. 0, 2 pi, whatever we talking about. Pi day was 2 days ago. Sorry.
Oh, well, that's the big thing for me. Some people ask me why. Okay. So let me put 2 things out there. One, the 1 mile I put out immediately because I was just silly on a forum, and that had come out with mysterious writings. I didn't put anything else out there because I just thought it might be mischievous or not with Forrest, or aberrations or not. So I never put it out. Others put it out either on secret recordings or information. And then I was like, I just got to own this because it's obviously out there. So now I talk about it. I never did for a long time until others put it out there because I just thought it's going to muddy the waters. And even though they've heard it from Forrest's own mouth for that short snippet when all the secret recordings were out, it disappeared. And then people are even questioning now. So I look at that and go, what do we really know? Are you
talking about the Catalyst quote?
No, I don't know what Catalyst quote. No, I'm talking about a few of the recordings that were out there that then got deleted, and that's okay. It was about dipping your toe. It was about 3 or 4 other key quotes that are out there now, and that's why people actually put credence in them now, because they actually heard Forrest say them. So then you look at it and you go, I love Toby's. If we only had the poem and TTOTC the day after Forrest passes, if that's all we had.
That's all I operate off of. That's been my whole operandi. I've got, the poem, the book, that's it, right? And then that takes you off onto all the kinds of stuff. And what I had noticed, and somebody asked about compass. So this right here is what you see on the inside of this kind of compass. Now, this would be known as a meridian compass, a Landsec, but the word that really strikes a word here, or a chord, is dead reckoning. 2 people can keep a secret if they're dead, right? I mean, we hear this, he said that, right? The reason he said it wrong, I believe, is he's trying to say dead reckoning when he turns all the instruments off on his plane and he looks out the windshield and flies for 600 miles, dead reckoning. You see a point on the right, like for him, it's going to be like Pikes Peak, right? He's going to see that from Texas. You're high enough in the air, you vector off all that, and then you go to the next place, and you go to the next thing, and then you end up in Lander. So
I read that.
Is that what I have found interesting is when I brought that up to Toby that one night, is that he, Forrest was shot down 326 times. Well, when you look at the compass, that number is directly across from
twice. 20, he did 326.
26 and 28, right? Those
two he got shot down twice. He didn't get shot down 326 times.
Excuse me, flights 300.
Okay. Well, that's a lot.
He didn't get shot down 326 times. No, I misspoke. And just like I misspoke like that, I see Forrest has done that in his video that Toby shot. So when I heard him, when I hear that, I'm thinking this is an old guy who he doesn't really give a shit if you get all the words out. He's look, you guys are lucky that Toby had a camera there that day.
Right.
Have anything. All right. So I took that opportunity like a poker player to examine this guy and how he's talking, where he missteps, where is his eyes going. I've seen that Toby video probably over 300 times just to get that little spots of information, right? And off I go. So I did the research and Cody, blah, blah, blah. But noticing that page numbers and chapter numbers line up on here made me think that there's a lot more information going on than we're looking at. I mean, page numbers, lack of chapters is simple and obvious, not complex.
Well, let me throw out one that I just heard from a searcher, and I got the okay to say it, and I don't think it's new because it's so simple. 79 is the spring equinox, and 265 is the fall equinox.
Wow.
If you go by days of the year. And so, like 79 is when he says he's,
22, right? I mean, he has a sister named June, and that's when the equinox is.
No, but like 79 and 265, those are like number of coins when he put the chest in its place. Those are big numbers, and the equinox, then that makes me go, ooh, when Toby says AGK is going to focus on the equinox, I go, those, because I've always wondered, why 265? Why those number of coins? Why has he said it? And especially since he won't put out the full contents, why isn't he putting out the full contents of the treasure chest?
Davio's just like, hello.
He's got it. Well, Davio, go pick it up. Put us out of our misery, for God's sakes, man.
Well, I just want to point out something for Davio's story about
melt.
Oh, melt. Yes, but I do have to say, you said this last year. To be fair.
Right. I have to go. Sorry. I know. It's after midnight here on the East Coast.
Yeah, 12:09. Darn it.
And the in-laws are there, and my wife just showed up in the room. So
oh, good night.
No, not a bad thing. I really appreciate it. I love you all. Thanks for having me on, and we'll do it again. Let's do this more often. That would be great.
Yes. Okay.
Hey,
thanks for coming on.
Davio, Candy, Chrissy.
Pretty well, good sir.
Thanks so much. Have a good day or good night.
You were going somewhere. What were you saying?
Oh, so I was talking about in regards to your story about how he was shot down and everything. Not many people are aware that Fenn has an actual rough draft of My War for Me. It was actually published on a friend site in 2006. This was before the memoir or the chase was ever released to the public. So excellent. I was comparing the chapter from The Thrill of the Chase, My War for Me, versus on the blogs. And there's a few things he changed in the chapters and didn't mention. So for instance, he talks about a time before he discovered the lonely soldier in the waterfall in, the Philippines and stuff like that. And what it is, or not the Philippines, sorry. I've had beer. But he doesn't mention that he talks about in his flight log, he marks a place with an asterisk. And that's very important. And what's crazy is he takes that out completely in the chapter. But if you look at it was right in the chapter for important literature, the big old print where it says, not a day passes that it leads up to what I need to do, stuff like that, places I've never been. There's an asterisk right there. So why did he take that important line from the blog and take it out of the chase or the book that we're reading? Same thing with the chapter Flywaters. He takes out the word firehole. There is an actual blog online that was posted in 2008 about those great places on the Firehole River. And he omits that in the book and puts the Madison River instead. And he also omits that there's Southwest Montana. There's different things he omits from certain chapters if you can go far back enough and compare them. So I'm not sure if he took that out because it's what we're supposed to follow to help us figure out where he put the chest, or if it's too much information and it would help someone actually figure out where he put the chest.
That's the same thing with River Bathing is Best. I mean, there is key differences in there's a previous version. There's several chapters that there's previous versions. Do they mean something or are they red herrings? That's the question.
I don't know, but why did he take out the freaking description about an asterisk and then he puts a big old asterisk in the freaking front of the book? Oh God, I said freaking like that one guy. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, this is the hard part. There are so many different. I almost wish there was nothing more than just the book and others, because how can you not look at the scrapbooks? How can you not look at what he said? How can you not look at previous versions of all these things?
Well, yeah,
Not
I
all
actually
of them
emailed
fit.
Fenn when I was boots on the ground last year, and I asked him point blank, why did you change the Firehole River in your original chapter to the Madison River in your book? And he said, you know what, Candy? I can't remember. And I'm just like, I love you, Fenn, but you are cheeky as hell.
Yeah, well, look at Babe, and somebody just brought it up. Babe Ruth versus Baby Ruth. Is that a hint? Is that a clue? It wasn't intentional. He had an editor. I've seen I have every previous version of every book that he's written. The previous books did not have all of that. I mean, anyway.
I mean, he says he's thought of everything. Okay. So he wanted this to continue on longer than just a couple of years. I feel like with him, love him to death, but he's got an ego just like everybody else. And what he likes to do, people who are very, very smart, very educated, they like to hide stuff in plain sight.
Yeah.
Completely.
But I did ask him in the interview, you thought of everything. And he brought up not one, but two things. He said he never thought that would possibly occur in this hunt. So there was two things that he didn't think about. So
What?
I think we put one out, so I'll say one, but I don't think we put the other one out. Searcher deaths. He never thought that somebody would die while searching. And that is why, even though he said he would never give a concrete, like it is not in water, that was one thing that he absolutely did not think. The other one's going to be in the documentary, so I won't say, but he did not fully think about what if someone's searching and died, had a family, what that means, that whole piece.
Did he not consider gold fever? I mean, that is a real thing.
Yeah, I think gold fever, I don't think, this is my opinion. He didn't go into it. I don't think he thought as many people would think it was under what, like when he says, don't go where an 80-year-old man wouldn't go. And you see people scuba diving. I know people that have scuba dived. They're under class 5 rapids. People were tethering themselves, getting underwater. And I just think of Forrest at 80. And so many people think, well, Forrest was a maverick and he was this and he was that. And it's like, no, Forrest was 80. Even if he was a maverick at 40, he was 80. I know he has back issues. He has this, he has that. But even outside of that, any human being at 80, I don't think he realized he couldn't say, don't do that without, he could say, don't go at 80. And I think he thought that was enough. But until he said, not underwater, that changed the game. That was one of the pinnacle points of this search. I think a lot of people backed out because they so thought it was under significant amounts of water. So
did you?
Well, that's because of the term water high.
Water high, where warm waters haul. I mean, there's so many waters that heavy loads of water high.
Well, Fenn himself says, he's like, what does waters high mean? Does it mean deeper than normal or higher than usual? And the thing with, what, Davio?
4 states of water. What are they?
The 4 states of water?
Freezing.
Oh, freeze, warm, cold, and hot.
Evaporated.
Steam, freezing, right?
Yeah, okay.
So it's liquid. And the other one is affected by sound. That's the 4th one they've laid on it. The point is water high? It's a vapor. What's rain? Rain is over your head, right? So now you've instantly have gone on to heavy loads, which is, what is water? H2O, right?
I mean, in my book, I just defined heavy loads water high to sediment deposit in the creeks, which is why he mentions creek to begin with in the poem. And then water high is just a high temperature of the warm waters because he's talking about specific warm water river. But that's my opinion.
I can dig it.
I mean,
same time, it's H2O, right? I mean, that's just what it is. It's hydrogen, 2 parts oxygen, right? That's what it is. It's H2O. And H2O is right there on the periodic table.
Well, I mean, Part of my solve for warm water salt is talking about where dissolved oxygen is most frequent for a trout versus where it's not. And warm water does not hold dissolved oxygen because of the Brownian motion, meaning that the warmer the water, the faster the molecules will rub together, therefore releasing the dissolved oxygen gases. So when you come down to cold water, it slows down. It comes to a temporary suspension of movement, also known as a halt, and it holds a layer of oxygen. Therefore, the brown trout can breathe in those waters. So, brown trout, Homer Brown, that's where warm water salt.
Why is it capitalized?
That is because it's scientifically proven. Like when you were talking about this scientific name for brown trout, it's like Sammostrata something. I don't know right now. You can actually capitalize brown for trout, but trout is lowercase.
Okay.
Brown is capital.
That was actually part of the first solve that I went on with my family member. Yes. Okay. I know what you're saying.
Is atomic weight. He flew around with an atomic bomb under his wing. We see him leaning against an airplane with some kind of gas tank, bomb, who knows? But we see him on the front of the book with these things. The 3 photographs on the front of the book are the 3 elements that you need to follow in this, is what I have seen, right? That's what it looks like to me. He's looking back with a raccoon hat, looking back Texas. If you're thinking of 4th grade sense, it's far less complicated. You know, 4th graders are the ones that were the best impressionist painters, right? Because they're not skilled, they don't have really good control. And this is in 7 degrees of separation. The point is that this is a guy who's an art dealer, who's highly creative, who has a different way of looking at things. If someone says heavy load and it's a game, and they just said water vapor, my mind is going to atomic weight, which is everything on the periodic table. So now, right after it says OF. Well, OF is right there on the periodic table.
But my 10-year-old looks at the periodic table and goes, I'm not saying he's right. And he goes, too specialized.
Well, I feel like, okay, everyone knows AS actually means arsenic, and AS is the first flippin' word you see in the poem.
That's right.
Am I right?
That's right. And
so arsenic is found in the Firehole River.
So it's either critical or it's a rabbit hole. I don't know which, because everybody's been looking down that rabbit hole for years. Okay.
Rabbit holes? Rabbit hole is when you try to find the gosh forsaken 1-room schoolhouse somewhere 50 miles out of the way in Wyoming. It's not possible.
Oh, no, it is. Okay.
The one that lines up to whosoever teaches the child the worships of God in their workshop or whatever.
There's a little aberration to it, but there's a few of us, and we won't go public with it because it's actually been damaged by some searchers. But here's the big thing that I think we all have to take a pause to is I've done now a few treasure hunts. They're tiny little treasure hunts. You get a coin or you get, but worth enough money. It is amazing to me when I think nobody's going to solve this part, and they solve it like that. And then this part, that's super
easy.
And that goes weeks and weeks and weeks, and they're like, we don't get it. And I'm like, it's so obvious. Why didn't you just do this or do that? How has Forrest eluded, let's just say, for sake of discussion, we're going to use this 400,000 number. Whether I think there's probably been at least 100,000 that have come, quit, whatever. And you have these searcher meetups are awesome because you realize you have the uneducated, redneck, blue collar, beautiful human being that is like, I see the world so differently than the high-end multi-millionaire, which I have sat with. And this is what I never really, I won't say worked, but not in that same way as a blue collar, and everywhere in between. And you have hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't have anyone that has cracked this. What the heck are we all missing? I think Forrest is smart. I don't think he is.
We both have met him. We've been to his house. He's the most freaking genius person on the planet. Are you kidding me? He is brilliant.
With the poem?
Clever. He's very clever. To sell art, it's really an interesting thing, right? I mean, it's a tremendous mindset. Park the plane, to hell with Vietnam, to hell with that whole shit show. I am now selling art. The polar opposite of war.
Well,
and I think this is where Bip might have a story. This is about people thought he didn't even have a place at the table. I heard he went to some of the conferences with the snob little academics. They didn't even allow him in some of the discussions because he didn't have the right credentials. This might be to them. I don't know. That's what I mean by a bigger story. I think there's a bigger story here and I don't know what it is.
Yes, and I agree. And the place that I found might be that story, but I don't want to go there. The point is this, is Forrest, in his genius, was able to confer, talk with, expose the archaeology world for the farce that it is. I mean, there's a lot of crap in that archaeological world. It's really kind of like the good old boys club of who you know. And I know this because of my own experience in finding, solstice markers at 3,200 feet in the Santa Cruz Mountains, right? So I've sent you that little video and all this, right? So I've got state archaeologists verbally telling me that I've got a find of the century, that it's likely it's tied to the Mayan Empire. They will never put it in writing. They do not want the grief or the hassle from the Native Americans. They don't want the exposure to it. There's a list of stuff because it's a state park, and therefore they don't even want to go there. So
okay, speaking of archaeology, did you know the first blog Fenn ever put out on his blog before it was even known to mankind about the chase? The Mother of Indiana Jones, which is about archaeology in the Clovis cache. So I completely 100% agree with you on that part.
And this is where I do think some tech people might be able to figure this out because of the Wayback Machine. Have you been on that? Because of stuff like that, they might be able, because what he has out now, I think he is starting to cover his tracks a little bit. I think the history of what was on there way back when, I think that's now disappeared. I think it's going to take some kind of investigative people. And the Wayback Machine, I'm not very techie. It's interesting to see what was on his site 8-9 years ago to what's on now.
Well, I'm starting to pick up the fact that whenever you're trying to go back in time and figure out who Fenn was as a child versus who he is now, there is a huge gap, which I completely agree with the CIA thing, because that is the only friggin' possible way someone can actually make their identity disappear. And that's why I think Fenn also had indulgence originally named Tarzan, because if you read the original books from Tarzan, he actually has a secret identity. People don't know his real name because he grew up in the tropical Amazon with, ape stuff like that. But he's saying nobody can take my name away from me. All I have is my name. And there's something huge that we're missing that we're not connecting.
Yep. And I do think it's discovered in the CIA piece, or is his time in life. I think it's something that his family doesn't know because he couldn't say it because of his time. And I do think he was a government man at the time. I don't think he's as enthusiastic about the government because of the raids. I think there's something that's going to piece all those. He's the most complex yet simple man I've ever met. And God, what a storyteller. My God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're in last 5 minutes, guys. If you have a question for anyone in the room, ask it now and put at Kpro at the beginning because the chat has 160 people in it. It's going by. Irony is hiding the treasure to get people off the devices and into the woods to devote time into the treasure and then on the internet and searching of the treasure. Here's what I say to that. There is no way. I do have to say this has helped me. You guys know my story about losing 100 pounds and actually getting out there. And you can only go boots on the ground a little bit. What do I do now? I take my son, probably 7 years ago, I would not have taken him to a park. I would not have gone out to Red Rock when I go to Las Vegas. I would have probably gone to something like a restaurant or something. Everywhere I go now, it's more active. So though you're right, because what do we do at 10 o'clock at night? You don't go hiking 10 o'clock at night. You talk amongst your friends. This is a community. I do have to say I'm much more active. I become an active person because of this chase. So I do have to agree with you. I think it's ironic that more people are behind the computer, but I think behind the computer is okay because we're already there at night because you shouldn't be out, especially at night in the Rockies where you could be eaten by a bear. Don't get eaten by a bear. I'm much more active now than I ever was before. So that's just me.
Yeah, good. It's very good.
Yeah.
It's me to actually talk on this venue like this and think about possibly, working in this particular area. That's for sure. Where I wouldn't have it. Susie Fenhaven had a lot to do with that because she admitted she was dyslexic and how she talked on here, and I thought, well, that's inspirational. I thought that's worth talking about. I think it's.
And this is the funny part: is Susie and you and me. So many people say, "I didn't know you were dyslexic." It's like, yeah. And I went to a doctor for over 10 years to overcome. And so it's brought so many things out. And there's people that have so many different issues of life. They've been estranged from their family. This has helped them. There has been some tragedies, but I think the positive that has come out has not been discussed as much. So Candy wants to stay on a little longer, and I'm all about it. I had a hard stop because I want to make sure I put a movie on and I know when it stopped. I want to make sure my kid is completely sleeping, which I'm sure he is. So I'm going to
Let's ask the chat.
Yeah, do you guys want to go a little longer? Because I'm okay stepping away from the chat for a minute, and I will go and check and make sure everything is well, and then I will come back on.
Okay.
So
We could do a question off, like the chat can like ask us super like in-depth questions or whatever, and then we could all like try and answer as fast as possible.
Answer some questions. Is there any questions?
There you go. And Holly's in the room, so she'll be able to moderate. So I'm going to be able to take a step back. I got to get my dogs out. There's like 6 things I have to do. So if there's, I probably won't be back for a few seconds, but I'm all about it. You guys go and rock on. But I'll be back in a few minutes. But keep going. If you guys are up for it, keep going.
Absolutely.
I know it's 3 hours earlier there, so you're like, oh, they're all saying 1, whatever.
Yeah, that's what we did with Toby last night. Is like if you want to stay on longer, hit 1.
He was on for like 4 hours. My God, I was asleep within like 15 minutes.
Did you see Toby in the day yesterday?
Did I see
What?
Toby? What?
Toby had a show on earlier in the day.
Yeah. I didn't
so
see it.
On that show, he talks about how to do sales stuff. I did everything he told me to do. I did to Toby. I got him to talk for a half hour.
That's awesome. Okay, I'll be back on. You guys are leading the chat. Holly, you're leading the anybody getting naughty. We're keeping a positive, safe environment.
Oh,
and
the reflection in front of my right shoulder is the gosh forsaken light above me that I cannot turn down, or else I will look like a shadow. So if you guys want to just see my face,
no, that's Forrest Fenn watching us, people. Okay, I'll be back.
Yeah, there's a question from Hexstar. What are the tools of an architect? Which is, compass, angles, what do you call it? 45, 32. Let's see, the golden mean. All kinds of things are part of perspective, drawing in perspective. This is while you call this a compass, the deal with the little spike on it is, this is a compass as well. So these are both called compasses. They both have degrees. They are both, this isn't so much a tool as an architect as, landing where the property is on site. This would definitely be an architectural tool. So it was just kind of.
Speaker is asking, what's your interpretation of the discrepancies in the, in the stories? The stories that Fenn tells, like what are the discrepancies? What are your thoughts on that, Davio?
What are the discrepancies and what do they mean? It's the, why does he misspoke? Why is he doing to bring attention to a particular point that he's talking about? Why does he misspell things? I think it's to bring attention. Why are there no chapter numbers? To bring attention to it. Why do the drawings line up and match the Saturday Evening Post? To bring attention to this. I mean, the difference between what's in the post and what's in the drawing, the difference of the things could be a hint. For instance, the drawing of the where he's getting chewed out and he's sitting in the chair, right? And he's sitting 90 degrees from his father, right? And he's sitting and that there's a bookshelf. Okay, when you look at the actual drawing.
I saw that drawing because it's in comparison to the one artist. I saw that.
Exactly. So if you look at the two, it's clearly a tracing of the actual thing that Norman Rockwell did. So that means, why did he draw it?
Though? Remember the map ended where he did on page 99 with the 2 X's?
Yeah.
Okay, well, look at these lovely people. The 2 indents, they're the same match for the Firehole River kids.
Oh, that's very cool.
Exact match.
The X's on the bombs are the same as the X's he drew on there. The difference in the Saturday Evening Post drawings, it's what's not there. There's not a bookshelf, and there is a bookshelf. There's cats playing under the chair.
I saw that.
Cats and the cows. What are, what's the most famous socks cat in the world? You guys never put that together? I mean, he's got all these, they were like socks, right? Whose socks? You got your Wikipedia open in front of you?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a phone and I'm creeping on the chat right now to see what other questions people are asking, but I've actually noticed that, the word clue defines as a ball of yarn, and he talks about a ball of string in a multicolored that magically disappears, and all of a sudden everyone's like, where's the ball of yarn? That's another, aberration that lives out on the edge. But my most favorite is when Fenn talks about imagination. If someone has enough imagination and follows the clues in consecutive order, they can find the treasure and the end of my rainbow, right? Well, what would you define as imagination? Like you personally, what would you define imagination as?
Thinking outside the box.
No, Fenn says stay inside the box where your ideas flow more comfortably, remember?
Yes, means nothing to me. The inventory in the box is completely irrelevant. The fact that he's talking about a box to me is referring to the 10, 10, and 6. All right, so boom, he just said 26. Periodic table, I believe that's iron. So I'm seeing there's a lot of it's not direct. There's little parts. My phone just blew up. What happened?
Well, I'm just saying in regards to the term imagination. Imagination is defined as somebody being able to see something others can't, especially when it comes to rearranging images or letters to create other forms of words. What does that sound to you? It's an anagram. And what happens when I took the book title from the memoir, The Thrill of the Chase, a memoir, and I used it as an anagram, imagination? It gave me the exact information I needed to know about where warm waters halt, which is crazy. If you have a poem that's $1 million or more and it says, first clue, begin it where warm waters halt. What's the question? Where do warm waters halt? The title of the book actually gives you the answer. The fire hole halts at the home of Brown. That's a little crazy, right? It's like, I know about serendipity, and that is beyond serendipitous. Like, I cannot expand that enough. And that's why I have my own map in the poem, because the word that is key is it, and it is the blaze, and you replace it or the blaze with the fire hole, and it gives you a complete structured map and directions, point A to point B, of where to go and where to put in. Just saying.
Huh. Okay,
Someone asked about imagination.
That's good imagination right there. That's a classic example of very good imagination.
Thank you.
Kat, what's the most here? Kpro, you got your computer up. Do me a favor and do this little search. Okay. Type in socks the cat, and what do you get?
Isn't that the name of a specific
U.S.
cat?
President Bill Clinton's family during his presidency. Oh, kitty cat, get down. My cat actually got up when you said that.
There you go.
As an adopted cat, Stray, he was the only pet of Clinton's during his early years.
And there you go. So we have now, he's talking about cats, and now we've got Bill Clinton right there, which, by the way, was between two bushes.
Do you think Forrest is trying to leave his special message politics?
No. I think he hates politics as much as I do.
What does Kiwi mean when he's on the road?
Who's on the road?
Kiwi's road says he's on the road.
Probably going boots on the ground. That'd be my guess.
I don't know, he tagged me and said, I'm on the road. Good luck with your solve, good sir.
Well, he's from Australia, though, so I don't think he's making it here.
A long road.
Stop.
Nobody's in here. The planes are all shut down. Hexstar is talking about where's the beginning for Fenn's rainbow. For me, the rainbow, because he says that's at the end. And isn't that the end of Somewhere Over the Rainbow with Judy Garland? We have the Tin Man talking about the triangle, at the very end of the movie.
Heavens to Betsy. The end of Fenn's rainbow is the arc of his fishing rod, and he tells us little tidbits in the memoir, The Thrill of Chase, in the chapter Flywater. He talks about how Flywater, the book, meant so much to him, and it reminds him of those great fishing places he used to fish under the tutelage of his father. If you go to the book Flywater, the actual book, in regards to the beginning, it talks about the arc of a man's fishing pole is the rainbow. And then the thing with MySolve and other people is it's very cohesive. It's one subject. It's about a fishing trip. It's about warm waters. It's about trout. It's about the end of his rainbow is his fishing hole. He talks about his secret fishing hole. And that's another thing, hidden in plain sight. He's telling you, find my secret fishing hole. You're going to find the tree or the pine tree that I want to lay under and die. And he even has a quote where he says, lay me under a pine tree and go on back to town. Okay, there's like so many things it's constructed where it's just all about fishing. Like Fenn wants to spend his last dying days as an old man under a tree with his fried apple pie or pineapple pie. And
why has he only been there a couple times though? He says he's only been there a couple times.
Where?
Is it adulthood or as a child? What do you mean only a couple of times in his entire life?
See, I took it as his entire life when he said that.
Oh, you're talking about the place where he hid the treasure chests? He's only been there twice or something. He says like,
so it's a few
I remember
times
that.
or a couple times. Why?
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you say you've been to Yellowstone, but then you hit something in a creek, would that be compared to the exact place as Yellowstone, or would you say that creek is where you've been there a few times? Because it's like, if I'm telling you, hey, I'm gonna go to the fire hole, it's my second time going there, but I was in Yellowstone. It doesn't matter where I go in Yellowstone. I could be there 100 times. But when I say specifically, I'm going to this specific creek, that means I've only been there a handful of times.
But if it's a special spot that like he's going to throw his bones at, wouldn't it be somewhere he has been there? If it's somewhere accessible to him, which he spent a ton of time in Yellowstone, a ton of time in Cody, and a ton of time in New Mexico, why wouldn't he go there all the time if it's that?
Let's break it down though. Let's break it down. So first off, we have a chapter in his memoir, The Thrill of Chase. It talks about in love with Yellowstone, right? Then in the second book, Too Far to Walk, it has the chapter Buffalo Smoke. Anybody who took the time to actually figure out where he's talking about in regards to Buffalo Smoke, it's the actual confluence of the Firehole River meeting the Nez Perce Creek. That is what Buffalo Smoke actually is about. And then there's other things where he talks about different adventures with his father, like when he got shot down when he was in Laos. He starts talking about going fishing with his father on the Lamppost River in Texas, right? And then all of a sudden he fast forwards to the waterfall that he made a promise to when he was flying over. I feel like he was symbolically trying to keep a promise to the waterfall as well as the fishing memories of his father. So he found a way to cohesively, compare that or meld that together. And that's what we're looking for. And some of the stanzas in the poem are two separate things. It's about his journey as a soldier in Laos versus his memories as a child in West Yellowstone and Yellowstone National Park with his family. That's why you have the term and. As I've gone alone in there and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where and hint of riches new and old. Like there's so many things where every time in the poem you hear the word and, it's just differentiating itself from one memory to the other, just in my opinion.
Well, I had this debate with my brother. I said, so we had a very, very strict dad. Law enforcement, strict, and strict with the boy more than the girl, because the girl just was perfect. But I asked him, where would you say your most special memories are? Like if you were to throw your bones. And he's like, the relationship of a father and a son is just different between brother and brother, in his opinion. And he was a searcher for a while. He's not a searcher anymore. He's like, I think this is a story about him and his dad. More than him and Skippy, more than him and Peggy, more than him and anyone else. This is a story of him and his dad, especially because of TTOTC and how he talked about his dad. Mm-hmm. He believed it was up in Yellowstone, and he believed it's in one of the stories with his dad, which I thought was interesting because I know of the strain, the conflict that a strong father has with a strong son. And I think Forrest and his dad were two strong human beings, just like my dad and my brother are. And I'm like, really? Out of everything, you don't see it as conflict? He's like, no, you see it as respect. And I'm like, wow, okay. He's like, that's what makes you a man. And I didn't understand it. He's like, of course you can. You're a woman. He's like, and I don't mean that bad. You're a wonderful mother, a wonderful daughter. You have the same father. You have all of that. He's like, I can tell you, you would never get it. And I'm like, okay. So it was really interesting to me because I wanted to pick the brain of a man, and I did. And he's probably the only person that I would be able to have that honest of a conversation, because we picked apart, what about your own kids? He's like, it's different. What about your own, your sister? You love your sister and your mom. And I know how close they were. He was closer with my mom, but he respected my father in just a different light. I thought it was interesting. So that makes me even more believe it's up north somewhere that he has been with his father.
I fully agree.
I 100% agree with that.
Hey, the 16 was the summer he spent with the Tree Army, right? That was the whole summer he was gone. The story of him and the candy bar and all that stuff. Well, that's aberrated in that the actual fact on what he did was he was gone for the entire summer, working with the Tree Army, and that's where I think he found this.
That was Ramba Creek.
I've been there. I collected the water, almost sent it to him, but you know how many people have?
No, I actually did. I went to Ramba Creek and I collected it because I went to the gift store and I dumped out, the little gold flecks. I sat there, dumped it out, and I almost died trying to go in the creek. So I sent my boyfriend there. And while I was waiting for him to get the water, I got pulled over by one of the park rangers, or like whatever their names are outside of the park. He pulled me over and everything was cool until he looked into the car and he saw the Thrill of the Chase and memoir. And he's like, oh God, you're one of those people. And I was like, no, I have a solid head on my shoulders. I am good. And he's like, what are you doing right here? I was like, well, I just emptied out a tourist pot of gold and I sent my boyfriend to collect Rumble Creek water because Fenn requested it. And he's like, Forrest Fenn. I'm like, yeah, I literally just came from his house yesterday and I'm collecting water for him. And he told me so many stories about people who are just off the rails. Someone brought dynamite to the Firehole River, you guys. Yep. The Firehole River. Another person actually went up to, where looking for Lois and Clark. They took their truck and tried to move a boulder, and the boulder ended up falling off the mountain, taking the truck with it. The guy was lost for 3 days, and the only reason he survived is because the EMTs were like literally 5 minutes away from where he was when they finally found him, and they were able to resuscitate him back to life. Like, there's some crazy stuff, and it's no joke when you tell someone if you're in Yellowstone or in Hebgen Lake, you have anything in connection with Fenn, they will treat you like a damn criminal. And it's actually okay because there's so many people that are off the rails that people need to understand. No place for the meek. Heavy loads water high. Like in my video from today, I said, don't be cheeky, stay away from the peaky. It means don't go on the side of a freaking mountain and look down because you think the chest is there because you're going to die. Like, there's some crazy stuff out there, you guys.
Okay, we have a question from the chat room. What is the one thing in indulgence that Forrest will not speak about?
Well, I mean, essentially, we know that when he first started out, he was talking about like an IOU, right, from his bank. But then he was like, oh, wait, what if my bank's not around there when someone finds it? So I feel like it's going to be the money that is needed to cover for the taxes to find the chest. And I mean, now in this day and age, it might be one of those freaking, what are those called, megabytes or freaking crypt coins or bitcoins? I don't know what the hell it is, but I feel like he had that all set up. So I think that's what it's going to be.
No taxes.
Pretty much.
Way the government would be able to touch anything within this box if it was in my within my hands. They'll never get any taxes ever from this. Taxes from the story in the book I sell, but not out of the entire gold and the value of it. Never.
See, and I'm going to go with what Lux says. It's the part of the story. That's why he doesn't want it to talk about it. I think it's going to be the epic story, like Sitting Bull's Peace Pipe. Here you go. Or something bigger than that. And it's going to be so big that one, however he set it up, you don't have to pay taxes. but it's going to give you recognition at a level you need to know the rest of the story. You need to sit with that man and go, not almost like your DB Cooper, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than Sitting Bull's Peace Pipe. It's bigger than, it's just something huge, epic, something that we can't even think about. But
Perhaps the origin of a people. For instance, the origin story of where a certain Lakota Sioux tribe got its name. Maybe it would be something like that.
I think it has to be American Indian related. My kids are registered Cherokee, as many of you know. And when I said that to Forrest, he was so interested. Like, what do you mean registered Cherokee? And how does that? And we talked a lot about that. You could tell when, so the only thing at the time that this search started that he had at the Library of Congress was an audio of him on his missions. And he talked in there about all he could think about when he was lonely and in Vietnam. The only thing he could think about was collecting arrowheads and American Indian. Told all these stories of American Indians. I 100% think there's an American Indian, and that's what his whole life was about that he really hasn't talked about. That's my opinion, but I have no way of backing that up. So I don't know.
Well,
That's
Christy,
just
I have a
me.
question for you. What do you think when, like, what do you think it means when in the poem Fenn says, if you've been wise and found the blaze? What do you, like, what's your interpretation of that?
If you've
Well,
been wise, you have figured out where warm water halts. Therefore, what blaze is has a relevance to what warm water is. So begin it where warm waters halt. Well, whatever that is, there's a relevance to that, to what the blaze is. Either there's a physical look to this place that looks like what the blaze is over here, or there's stuff about these two things that match. And no, I don't even think they're in the same state. Where warm waters halt is one thing that's relevant. I mean, isn't it interesting, like what he says in the book about, nobody even knows who Clark Gable is. And so I thought I would write this book so my family would know about these things in my life. And yet we hear not a freaking word about any movie star, the names of his dog, his favorite band, maybe a favorite song. We don't hear anything that a child or a man who is going to talk about his life would say. How can you write a book, put 3 pictures of dogs in there, and never say his name? Never acknowledge you even had a dog. Isn't that then trying to point out to, and remember, my theory on this is a man who does not want it found because his legacy, his name lives on the more it's never found. The longer this stays lost or out there in the world, in the ether, as it were, the longer his name stays relevant. The longer his name is out there, the more we talk about it, right? So I'm thinking this is how he stays alive in the world and all this stuff. Don't talk about legacy, he says. You want to say something nice about me, do it now. And I totally agree with that. My freaking brother-in-law is dying of fucking ALS. So what am I going to do? Wait till he dies and tell him how great he is? No, I'm thinking about every 2 weeks, I'm going to freaking call this guy up and tell him he's the freaking brilliant man that he really is and how great he's done with his family.
Yeah.
So, I think
Almost done. 10 more minutes.
Things we need to pay attention to in life. When you're dead, you're gone. It's over. It's done. Your worries and everything is over. You get to live on as long as someone's talking about you. All the girls I got to love in my life still talk to me. That makes me alive, right? I mean, it's who's in your life. When you're gone, you're freaking gone. Who cares? You know what I mean? This is.
well, so I have a little bit of a different interpretation, and it depends on my solve. So my Nez Perce solve, what was wise? Wise was wisdom. Wisdom is right next to one of the battles of Nez Perce. It's the closest town to Nez Perce. Very, very literal. Wisdom, I thought, was the one thing. And one of my other solves, if you've been wise and found the blaze, this is where you see that one thing. And there was a thing there that you went, oh, that's related to Forrest Fenn. So it's gone anywhere from imagination to, I don't know which one. I do believe it is an actual one of the 9 points. I don't know why I think that. I just do. And yes, Richard, yeah, Wisdom, Montana. That was one of my solves. Bighorn Battle was right there. It was the last battle that's within 5,000 and 10-2 within the Rockies. So that was an entire solve I had for about 18 months. The only thing I know is, well, let's go back to, does he want it solved before he dies? I actually think the reason he says he's ambivalent to it, I think he's gone both ways. My opinion, I think at the beginning he didn't care at all. And maybe exactly what you're saying, Davio, the longer he goes, the longer it's infamous. But he never anticipated the crazy birds at this level. He never anticipated the man that has said up to this day, Mika, or his granddaughter, is the treasure. And as long as he just kidnaps her and keeps her captive for the, basically until he does for the rest of her life, and returns her to Forrest, that's when he gets the treasure chest. He never anticipated that. And so his family now being almost at hostage in some ways, at some level, I don't think he anticipated. So I think that may at least put him at pause, let alone...
Right.
Well, I asked him the question. I'll put it out here since we're, you guys have been here this long. It's 1 a.m. I asked him the question, would you have done this treasure chest or this treasure hunt again? And he's like, absolutely not. I never thought it would affect my family and the negative that has come out of this. And there was a whole moment that way that we went, and there was a whole side of things that will probably never be shared. There was no solve in it, so there is some very dark things that have happened because of this shit. And Forrest and I have shared some of those because some of the crazy birds that thought if they went after him, they could come after me, and we went that whole route. So I agree with you, Davio, at the beginning when it was pure. I think the searcher desk put a dark light, but it was still pure of heart. I think the crazy birds now that are truly evil human beings that are going after people to try to kidnap them and do that sort of thing, and law enforcement, I think has taken it. I don't know if he would want to now, but I think at the beginning, I agree with you. So that's
no way. If his granddaughter's been threatened like that, I mean, there's somebody who's done to get a bullet upside their head. I mean, that's ridiculous. The fact that people see, a thing that I embraced is that there are some things worth dying for. So looking for this is worth dying for. It seems like, because it's such an accomplishment of one's life. It seems like it's worth it. So I definitely think there are people out there who are living like that. This is something worth going for. It's worth dying for. If I die looking for it, it's better than dying in traffic going to work. So I think there's a certain amount of that out there. And I also agree that Forrest does not would have never guessed the insanity that the general population could be. I think that really threw me off.
Hexstar asked if all three of us think that indulgence is either buried or hidden.
Hidden. Never not intentionally, because you cannot dig. An ego man is not going to dig a hole.
Yeah.
He's going to.
How deep is the hole?
Yeah. Well, and those are the pieces that it won't get us closer. And that's why some people are like, why don't you put out the entire documentary footage? First of all, you don't do that. But second of all, that's one of the reasons you don't. There were some raw things that were said that don't even need to be, advertised in such a way. I mean, I think there's regrets. I think, and Davio, what you're saying, I'm okay me saying, I'm going to live my life the way I want. If I want to give up my $1 million career, multi-bazillion dollar career, and go in a camper and go all across the Rockies, that's up to me. I don't think there was the anticipation of, oh, it might be a family member. And if you, do what it's just so, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Richard, you might be right. Richard.
Lisa Woodson is asking if either yourself, Kpro, or myself thinks that indulgence might be hidden in plain sight. You already know I'm 100% hidden in plain sight. Like all the clues that give, or the hints that set you off to where Warmrose Halt are hidden in plain sight. The hiding place is hidden in plain sight. When he hid it is hidden in plain sight, as well as the chest itself, hidden in plain sight. What are your thoughts, Kpro?
I don't think plain sight, like it depends on the definition of words here. I think it's not obvious. It is obviously hidden, but not I don't think it's buried, but I do think it, obviously if it's not stumbled upon, it can't be that obvious. So I think it's somewhere in between. I don't think it's buried. I don't think it's hidden in any structure. I do think it's so cleverly hidden. I think that's the piece we're missing more than anything else. Because if we know people have been, I know Mike and I have hidden stuff where we thought it was off the beaten trail a few 100 feet, and people just stumble upon stuff left and right. He's saying it can't be stumbled upon. So it's hidden some way that it's clever, and that's, I don't know, that's the piece I can't.
Well, why do you think Ben says for us to bring, some gloves and a flashlight? Why do you think that is?
I think the gloves piece for me is because you either have to move some rocks or move something, and
He
personally
didn't have to move any rocks, remember?
No, he said big rock, like big, like massive rocks. He doesn't, but he didn't ever say small. Like it's, but
You mean like a flat rock, also known as a Terry Scant?
Terry Scant, he's been obvious about it. He said that means get the hell out of there.
I know, but I mean, it could have a double meaning because a scant is actually a flat piece of rock, and Terry means to pull upwards. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, and Richard's saying it's never in the sunshine. He didn't
No.
say that exactly.
No, Fenn did say that. I watched the same thing. I put in on my video today. He says the treasure itself never is in the sunshine. However, the site where he hid the treasure is in the sunshine a good part of the day.
Does he actually say never? I would love to see the exact quote. I know that last part you said. I don't think he says never. I think he says isn't.
He said straight up, I remember I watched it on that weird Australian comedy thing because I was just so confused to all hell about it. But there is the part where Fenn says the treasure itself is not in the sunshine. But
now, not in the sunshine does not mean never in the sunshine. I mean, we can get into exact definitions of words, but...
Well, yeah, it is. He says it's not in the sunshine, but then he says the site itself is in the sunshine a good part of the day. Why would he say the treasure is not in the sunshine? He could say...
Why would he say good part of the day? Wouldn't it mean all day? I know what you're saying, but wouldn't it mean... Why would he say good part of the day? Why wouldn't he say it's not ever and it is a good part of the day? Why does he say... He says it isn't and then it is a good part of the day.
Well, you got to remember, Fenn himself years ago said that you'd be surprised that people don't know how to actually define a word. Like they do not know what words mean. And that is why I started looking up the etymology of words, the origin of words, just because of what Fenn said. And if you break down the context of, he said he hid the treasure chest in 2 trips and he did it within 1 afternoon. That brings down to actual time zone or a time.
Wait. We do need to say, though, this is what Cynthia interpreted. He never said that part on camera. The part
he did.
No, okay, let me just put it right now. I will pay you $100 if you get me that on Forrest quote. And you only have to pay me $1 back if I'm wrong. I'm serious. I know this was the Cynthia part. He said on camera, it is not in the sunlight most of the day. And then he said to Cynthia later, which was not on camera, and he told me the treasure chest was not. I know this one. 100 to 1. You got to pay me $1 though, Candy. 100 to 1.
I have seriously corrected you before in the chat sites about this.
Then
I remember.
All you have to do is provide it. Forrest Fenn actually saying it on that video. If you provide it, Well,
you forget that there's 2 parts. There's one part where Cynthia created a video where it was on that comedy for the Australian show, but then there's her unedited version of Fenn on camera actually saying that. Just saying.
Provided.
Okay. I will tomorrow when I haven't had 5 beers and I need to pee.
Okay. Well, what we're going to say, I don't believe he said it's never, and I don't believe he said it on video. If you could provide that, I'm all about it. I don't think he said never, and it's on video. Him, not a summary or any of that. And hey, if I lose it, I'm losing it to good people. I don't mind. Oh, Lisa's saying, take the bet. The casinos are closed. Yeah, okay. I have nothing else to gamble on. What do I do? So.
Now, what are the odds on this, by the way, in Vegas?
Vegas is basically shutting down. It's Armageddon.
Odds on chest in Vegas. They have odds on everything.
They do not have odds on this, which is funny. So some people are saying Kpro is wrong. More people are saying I'm wrong than Candy's wrong. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Oh.
And I'm completely wrong, which I love. I love how I'm so on the fringe and I'm not even considered, which is, I love that.
Well, which one do you did okay, in your opinion, did Forrest say on a video where we can hear him that the treasure chest is never in the sun?
I don't recall.
Oh my God.
No.
What's wrong with you?
And I remember him say, what it mattered to me was, okay, in the winter, because that's what he was talking about. I thought it had something to do with where the sun was in the winter. So if the sun is really low, then it's, this time of year, you're never going to see it. If it's summertime, the sun's going to be straight up and down, and there's a better chance of light getting into a crevasse, and something's going to be.
I don't think he said all that. You complicate everything for us. I'm sorry, W.
I thought it was so not important when I heard it.
Okay, Lori James agrees with me. Nope, he did not say that. Never. We're going to see. You know what? 100 to 1. How could she not take it? I'm going to expect my dollar, though. And I'm going to make her sign the dollar. Just like I made Forrest sign the dollar for the first World Series of Fenn. And we got turned into the officials. You know that's against the law. I did not know that. And some stinker butts out there made sure that that's never going to happen again. So
what do you mean you can't write on money?
You are not allowed to write on money. And the first World Series of Fenn, I took a $100 bill out of my wallet and said, Forrest, I will provide the $100. Would you sign it? Because if you do, that will be for the winner. He signed it, and it got turned into the New Mexico Gaming Board. We talked to those officials. They thought we were silly and we didn't have any criminal offense. There was no intent there. But some people were stinker butts. That's what I call them, stinker butts. So anyway. Yeah. Okay, so Candy is going to find the actual quote that says, from Forrest, that says, on air, it's never in the sun. So people are like taking odds right now. It's going to be awesome. So.
I will tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. Well, guys, it's after 1 o'clock, so we are going to go to bed now. It's been fun. It's been real. It's been awesome. And we'll have fun tomorrow. Tomorrow night, that's when Mike and I will be on. We're going to be taking... I'm sure we're going to be taking questions. I don't know. It sounds like Las Vegas is shutting down. He came in here and said some things. So,
yeah. I saw a little bit of when Cal was coming in there saying a few things. So, the strip will be shut down.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So, okay, guys, this was a live that I tried to do. You guys came in. It was awesome. Mike super chatted me tonight. I mean, this is a first. This is awesome. So we'll be on tomorrow night. We'll be on Thursday. We're back on. We were off last week. We were going to keep it a secret, but I can't keep secret. If I ever found this chest, I'd be telling everybody. I was in Vegas on a work trip last week. It was fun. Now I'm back. I barely got home. We barely got home, but we got home. So I'm glad to be here. So thank you all for being here. And some of you asked about how the documentary is going and clips. We are going to be talking about that tomorrow night. So make sure to tune in. We do have some developments, like everything. The coronavirus affects everything. There's a few updates to give there. So, okay. And Candy has a relatively new channel. Candy, what's your channel name? The Imagination Channel?
The Imagination Channel, Treasures New and Old.
Yep. And then Davia 22. Everybody knows and loves him. So make sure to subscribe. Yes.
So CMC at Kpro, the location where the treasure is hidden is in the sun a good part of the day. Yeah, FF, the location is in the sun, but the treasure chest itself is not FF. Someone just did the bet for me.
So the location is...
Look in the chat.
Okay, well, provide me the link. I want to actually hear it, and we'll see what comes of that. We'll talk about that tomorrow night, because I wouldn't say that exact quote says never, but even if it did, I want to actually hear it. I do not believe that is actually heard out of Forrest's mouth. But that's actually the part that I think I'm going to win more than the other. I think that's a summary of Cynthia saying the other part.
I mean, in my defense, I had like 5 beers. Okay, you guys.
It's $1. That's why I'm paying $100 to your 1. Yeah, I'm just saying. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of it. It's a fun little bet. The only person that can lose 100 is me, and it's $1. And if we ever meet each other, that's when you have to give me the $1 and you have to sign it, Candy. So
I don't want to bet money. I just want to bet for fun.
$1? Okay, for fun. Okay, for bragging rights. I did that with Mike. Mike and I, okay, I'm going to leave you guys with this story and then we're going to bed. So Mike knocks me out of a lot of tournaments. I've knocked him out of 1 or 2. We actually played a tournament. We became the final 2. And you can do what's called chop, where you just split it. And I said, absolutely, we're going to chop, but we are playing for bragging rights. I said, sit down. We're playing this out, even if it takes 5 hours. And we sat down first hand. And it's my avatar on my Facebook. I got aces. He got like king 10. And he's like, I got you dominated. When you go heads up, that's enough. Like, you go in if you have any face card. He had like king 10. I had aces. And we threw it down and I won. And the entire casino, probably 3 miles circumference, knew. It was a good day. And he's like, you'll see his face. I'll show the picture tomorrow night. But he was like, he was not happy. So, yeah, but there you go. My email, Billy Price, is kpro3@aol.com. Email me. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. This was fun. This went much later than I thought, but kiddos in bed, doggies have been out and happy. So we will see you tomorrow night, my friends. Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Davio. Thank you, Carter, who's no longer here.
Night, you guys.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, let's see if I can figure this out.